So I'm gonna start this off with a bit of a personal story, and then from there I'm gonna share some thoughts about things I see going on in the world and whatnot, and just my opinions, I guess. Um, but 2.5 years ago, I uh, I felt very suicidal, uh, and this isn't something I like to talk about even like with the people in my life, but I generally keep it to myself, especially too because I'm just kind of past that point, and the emotions I was feeling back then I no longer feel. But I was in just a really difficult position in my life, and it it just felt like that was the most convenient option and the most reliable option, I should actually say. It seemed like any other efforts I would have made would have been pointless. And just to give a little context of where I was in life, I was pursuing a career in Hollywood. I was living out in Los Angeles. Um, that was just that was 4 years of pretty much just failing, constantly, not constantly, but continuously getting pitch offers and then being rejected. I was trying to be a screenwriter, and that was one of the things that was really motivating my life in my late teens, early 20s was my passion for film and my passion for writing movies. And so, to finally get out there and be where it's all happening, just constant rejection, one after the other, even like not just studios rejecting me, but independent filmmakers rejecting my writing. It was just, it was a headache. It was a, it was a headache, and LA is not a friendly place. I'll say that much. I definitely didn't feel any sort of comfort when I was living there. Simultaneous to these rejections, I was dealing with chronic illness, Lyme disease, and the repercussions of that, namely, it had gotten into my brain and I was struggling with depression. Um, Simultaneous to that, I was working full time in copywriting, content management, and that was, it wasn't my favorite thing in the world, but I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it. I lost that job, and simultaneous to that happening as well, my girlfriend at the time of over 8 years left me, and so this whole just combination of everything, that I was dealing with at that point, I just, it reaches a peak, and it's just like, fuck, maybe this is even my sign to just, call it quits. And I consider myself lucky in the sense that I have a strong family support system. Um, and, once they kind of got cued into everything that was going on in my life, they took me under their wing, and gave me that space and time to get back on my feet. But I know a lot of men don't have that, and if I didn't have that, I know I would have ended up homeless, and and God only knows what that could ripple into. So I do feel grateful. I do feel like I'm one of the lucky ones in this world. And being that I had that time and space to recover, to overcome a lot of the negativity that was going on in my life, in that time, I made it a personal goal of mine to better understand what was happening to men in this world, and to try to be a resource slash develop tools to help men out, because I really think, and this is just my own personal experience, I grew up, I had a normal childhood. I don't have any childhood traumas to talk about, but I certainly wasn't taught how to regulate my emotions. I wasn't taught how to, go about life and how to just be a masculine energy in this world. And it took a lot of trial and error. It took a lot of reading, and it took a lot of research to get to where I am now. And I'm still not where I want to be. I still have, leagues to go. But I'm in a position that I would have been grateful for 2.5 years ago when I wanted to kill myself. And so that's part of the reason I'm making this now. I know there's a lot of men out there who probably feel they're in a lonely position. I certainly did when I was in that spot. And when you're in that lonely position, I think the biggest thing is it just feels like nobody understands. It feels like nobody has any clue what the fuck's going on. And you're just alone and, in these thoughts. And it's a weight. It's a weight. And I still definitely carry it with me to a degree. I'm not depressed. I'm not struggling with mental health. But I certainly had my scars from that period of my life, and I don't think they're ever going to wash away. I don't think they're ever going to go anywhere. In many regards, I carry them to protect myself from what comes in the future. Anyways, throughout that recovery process, I really looked at the world around me, and I really just kind of took a step back and try to observe why I felt the way I did and why other men might feel the way I did back then. And I came to the conclusion that my life just felt like it had no purpose, Up until that point, my purpose felt very much like, I was going to be a screenwriter or whatever. And that I was pursuing Hollywood. That felt like my purpose. But once I had to give that up, and come back to my hometown, I had to reevaluate my purpose. And I realized too that putting my purpose in a career was just the wrong motivation. Don't get me wrong, I love filmmaking, I love movies, and I love screenwriting, and I love writing in general. But I was pursuing these things in the interests of developing a name for myself and developing sort of a reputation for myself. And with that, I was putting a lot of emphasis on the social elements of that role. And it took away from the artistic elements for sure. And I focused way more, and this is throughout my early 20s, mid-20s, I focused way more on just how I was sort of a reflection of the work I was doing, and even I was a reflection of pursuing that type of career. And in my recovery period, I really realized how just meaningless, I guess, that type of path was. For one, it was putting a lot of expectations on other people. And if you have any sort of purpose in life that puts expectations on other people, you're something wrong. But two, I wasn't really going about the art the way I should have been. I was going about it in a manner where I was trying to make a name for myself. I wasn't going about it in a manner where I was doing it because it was coming out of me, and it was something I was passionate about, and it was something that I just loved with all my heart, and I was going to make it either way. That was one of the biggest things, and all the writing I've done since this recovery period, it's just come out of me. I don't care what happens to it. I'm doing it because I love it, and I love the work. And yeah. But I know, too, a lot of men don't kind of take that creative path, and a lot of men end up either in blue or white-collar positions. And in many regards, I think a lot of men seek some kind of meaning in the work they're doing. And I don't blame them, because I certainly have been in that position before. When I was working in the content management, I felt as though one, I was suddenly in a position where I could provide for myself and my partner at the time, and that just felt really, like the right thing to do. And two, I was building. I was at that point saving up money, and I was planning a future where I'd have a family and kids, and it felt like I was on a purpose through my work, and therefore I put a lot of focus into my work at that point. But that all got ripped away from me real quick, and including the money. I lost everything, and I just realized that these elements of our life aren't these elements of my life weren't my life's purpose. I realized it went beyond anything that could be tangibly taken away from me. I realized it was something that existed deep within me, and that is much simpler than our civilization, that's for sure. And that's when I turned to spirituality, and that's when I turned to God through this recovery period. I was already kind of on that path before this recovery period, but when I had that time and space to myself, I really saw how my only goal in life should be to be better than I was yesterday. And how you define better is going to, vary. I know a big thing right now is like locking in, going to the gym, and just hustling and working a bunch of hours. For me, it's about being a better man than I was yesterday. And how you define that, it's going to vary, It's going to vary from person to person. The more I take time to talk with God, the more I take time to talk to myself, the more I realize it's about things like just doing the right thing in life, when opportunities arise, doing the right thing, maintaining an emotional stability, almost stoicism as much as I can, learning as much as I can, experience as much as I can, and doing it all in good faith, doing it all in a manner where I know I'm making the world a better place, even if I'm doing so in a very small way, even if I'm doing so in a manner that only a few people may be affected. As long as I leave this world in a manner where it's just a little bit better than when I entered, then I know I'm doing the right thing. And you could take this even further, debating what's good and evil in this world. That's why I read what I read. It's something I'm always curious about. But there's no need to take it any further. I think a human can feel when they're doing the right thing, and I think it's an emotion that we just naturally, most of us at least, gravitate towards. And in my opinion, as long as I'm being a better man than I was yesterday, then I'm doing what I need to do. It doesn't matter how much money I have. It doesn't matter, how many friends I have, how many followers I have online. That's my only goal in life. And that's my purpose. That was the conclusion I came to when I had that time and space to myself. And since then, I've been following it to the best of my abilities. Of course, I'm only a human. I make mistakes along the way. But the more I follow it, the more I've been gifted. And it's interesting because, and I'm reading about this too, actually, in this book. The Perennial Philosophy by Aldous Huxley. I highly recommend this. If you're interested in anything I'm talking about right now, I highly recommend this. This has been a phenomenal read. But the gifts I've been gifted, they're not material. They're not financial. They're not anything that could be tangibly taken from me. So it's not like a partner, let's say. It's not a lot of money. It's not a new car. It certainly isn't private property, not in this economy. it's just peace of mind. I feel a lot more emotionally stable right now, more so than I ever have in my life. I feel a lot more tranquil as I go about day-to-day life. I feel a lot more just at peace with my position and at peace with who I am, and I feel optimistic too. Is what I'm trying to say. I feel very optimistic in the sense that I'm just here experiencing this life, and I know there's so much to experience that I haven't yet, and I know it's not all gonna be good. I know some of it's gonna be bad, but I think I just feel more grateful to have this experience, whether good or bad. I'm grateful to be experiencing life in general, and to just be here and just be one with everything around me. And so those are the gifts I've been seeing as I go about this journey. It has a lot less to do with an end goal. When I've focused on my career before, I've always had the end goal of private property one day, let's say, or a new car, let's say. It has nothing to do with any of that. I've been trying to live as minimally as I can in my little apartment. I've been trying to just take time for things that matter to me, like reading, hiking in the woods, spending time with loved ones, people I care about. And these are the things I'm grateful for, that I have the time and free will to experience these things, and to do so in a manner where I just feel really comfortable with who I am, where I am in life, and I don't feel like I'm proving anything anymore. I don't feel like I have to make a name for myself. I feel like I just have to be who I am, and it's gratifying. It's the most gratifying thing I've ever experienced in this life, and and that's my reward. Yeah, that's what feels like my reward, and it feels like God, it continues to reward me daily with it. And yeah, so this is part of the reason I'm making this video. Is I felt very lost for a long time. I felt like once I had attained certain things, then I'd be happy, and once I had things that I could show other people, I'd be happy. Even moving to California and set my life up out there, I thought that would make me happy because I'd prove something to the people around me, but it didn't. And right now I'm still in a position where I want to start a family, where I'd like to own private property, and I'd like to be able to provide for my family in a way that they just don't have to worry about those types of things. And I'm aiming towards those things for sure. These are goals of mine, but I know that's not where my solace lies in this world. I know my solace is within myself, being grateful for whatever's given to me, and waking up each morning just feeling blessed that I'm here and I'm able to experience this. And so if you're a man right now and you feel lost, I know for a lot of men, just hearing what I'm saying, talking about God and spirituality, it sounds corny. And it certainly did to me for a long time. I was very atheist for a good chunk of my life. But I don't know. The moment I started waking up and practicing spirituality is the moment things started just getting better for me. And like I said, it's not better in a way that I can show off. It's just better in a way that I feel peace within myself. And now that I'm here, now that I'm where I am in life, this is just everything. It means so much more to me than a flashy car could, or a mansion or anything like that. And it's not easy. There's still moments where life tries to get the best of me, for sure. I still have my moments, and throughout the past 2.5 years, I've definitely had moments where it's like it feels like I'm being punished almost for the path I'm taking. But I have to remind myself that you know, what I physically desire isn't necessarily what I need out of life. And what I need might be something I don't want. And, you know, I can go into a lot of detail about that, but I'm going to try to cut this short. I'm going to try to cut this here, and just, yeah, I'm wishing everyone the best. And I'm hoping, you know, this kind of conversation kind of helps you kind of better understand how this life works. Because, you know, like I mentioned earlier, I felt very just like thrown into this world, and like I had no direction. And I think a lot of men feel that way, and I think it makes a lot of men feel just very lost. And I feel like I've been finding the way for, you know, a few years now, and I continue on this path, and you know, I will continue reporting too in these videos as I learn more. But in the meantime, I'm wishing everyone the best of luck in their journey, and yeah.